Hi friends, I'm Jenny and welcome to Jenny's Lights Within. I'm out on a lovely walk and I just felt compelled to come on and share my experiences of a 4-day water fast that I am currently on. I'm on my last day, my 4th day, and I had no idea I'd be sharing about these sorts of things, but I really wanted to share my experience because it's just further proof of what I talk about when I talk about tuning into your own guidance and listening. So last week I was feeling a bit heavy and a little bit stuck in some ways, and I remember there was an evening where I just didn't quite know what to do with myself, and the only thing I could really was guided to do was to just sit in stillness. That is definitely something that works for me. So I sat and I meditated. I meditated for quite a long time, and as usually happens, I felt into my heart space and I got the very, very clear message. And this clear message that I received was that I had to do a 4-day water fast. Now, this theme has been following me around a little bit, so it's not like come out of the blue. I did try it a few years ago, and I got really ill and really cranky. And I think I made it to 3 days, but had to sip on some beetroot juice, and it didn't quite go the way I wanted to. And I remember when I finished that, I didn't feel like I had accomplished it because it was meant to be a 4-day fast. I always felt like I wanted to try it again. Like I always had it in me, like if I get the inspiration, I will try it again. So in my meditation, I got the inspiration, and I've been wanting to do a detox, and they can be quite expensive doing the detoxes. They usually last a while. I often do a liver detox once a year, and I felt the calling. But when I did the research on the 4-day fast, it's very similar to doing a detox. And, there's a process called apophagy, I think it is. I'm not going to do any scientific-y things here. I definitely don't claim to know all the bits. But the apophagy, it's like where your body starts to break down old proteins and old bits of debris and all the gunk basically in your body, and it breaks it all down and sheds it out of your body. And then by day 3 of no food, your body starts to regenerate new cells and new growth hormone and stem cells, and just basically resets your entire body. It's such a simple thing, right? 4 days no food, like you're just removing something. You're not even having to buy a detox kit and drink all the different shakes and have different things at different times, and like having to record what you're doing. You just remove food for 4 days. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, it is simple, but also we're human. The idea of not eating, it's a little bit daunting. I quite like my food. I'm not a huge eater, but I definitely like my cups of tea, and I like to eat. It's a nice feeling, right? So I was a little bit apprehensive. When I told Benny that I was going to do it, he jumped on board. He said, I'll jump in with you. And I was very surprised because he's usually not a fan of me doing my detoxes because I get quite moody and sick. So I was very happy to have him along. It was actually really nice to do it with my partner because we could support each other, and in the evenings we've been knowing how each other feels. It's nice to share in that. So I'm really grateful to him for stepping in. But I think he'd been hearing some of the benefits about fasting as well, so he'd been keen for a while. And so the reason that I wanted to come on and share my experience was, a few reasons. One was to talk about the fast itself and how surprising it was. And I'm not trying to encourage any of you to follow my footsteps and do a 4-day fast. That's not what my message is. Unless, of course, you hear this and you haven't done it obviously before, and it resonates, and something in you it calls to you and you just want to do a bit of research. They talk about doing 1-day fasts before you jump into the full 4-day fast. So you don't have to go 4 days without food straight away if that's too daunting. But if it does resonate, I would highly recommend you look into it a bit more and check it out, only if it resonates, because this is the main message, is that it's just continually showing me that if I follow my guidance, that's where the magic lies. That's where things work out, because in doing this fast, yes, there was a couple of, I won't lie, the first 2 days, you know, I could feel like the psychological effect of not having the food, and there was a bit of crankiness, and I could feel myself wanting to reach for things, but it was so interesting. It was such an interesting process to notice. And it passes, like I've said in my other videos, you know, the hunger passes, and so does the craving or the wanting passes, and you find something new, and you discover more about yourself, because I sort of came more into my body and into my thoughts the more I wasn't eating, because there's nothing else to do. Like, you know, there's been several moments of the day which are usually filled up with cooking and with eating, and that was all stripped away this week. And it was a beautiful opportunity to get to know myself more, and to get to understand how I work and why I reach for the teas, and I could feel the moments where I wanted that comfort, and see how I dealt with it. But I want to fast forward to today. Today is day 4, and I can't even describe how full of energy I feel. Like, it's crazy. Like, last night I went to go down to my daughter's soccer game, and I was running a bit late, and it was a bit of a walk, and out of nowhere I just broke into a full-on jog. Now I'm not a jogger, okay? I'm telling you, I don't jog, and it's probably not the best for my hips and my back and everything else anyway, but I was full-on jogging. I was like, I went all the way, and I don't think I even broke out a proper sweat. I mean, it is cold. It's winter here, so the evenings are cold, but it was like, this burst of energy that I don't usually have, that just came out of me. My mood, my clarity in my head, like, I feel so clear today, clearer than I have in a very long time. Sort of similar to, you know, when you do, you know, sort of long meditations or breathwork journeys or any sort of self-development work. I'm feeling that same benefit with doing a fast. You know, I feel really clear. You know, it makes you just really become a bit more present and aware of your day and what you're doing. Like I said, I sort of noticed the moments where I really wanted to reach for things, and I was just, you know, it made me just become connected to what's going on, so that I could just be with it rather than, I guess, numb it in some ways with food. And I'm not saying that all food is numbing, but I know I could see those patterns just by taking it away. I was able to observe that. And also just leading into the gratitude for having food. You know, Benny and I were talking about the amount of people on this planet who are starving, you know, like ridiculous numbers still on this planet of people don't have food, you know, like it's just crazy to me how this is still happening. And in not having, you know, I'm so lucky. I've had food my entire life. I've always had food. This is the first time I've gone without food. And it's just, it really makes you realize how lucky we are, you know, that we have those things. We take so much for granted. Well, I do sometimes. And I'm so grateful that I get to have food. And it's my wish for this planet that everyone gets to have food and be filled and be able to be nourished as they should be. It's a right of every human on this planet. It's my hope that as humanity moves more towards living in an authentic space, which is what I foresee happening on the planet, people really living from their own truth, their own hearts, that it'll connect us to all the hearts. It's like, you know, the trees are all connected, we're all connected, you know, our heart spaces we're all one, really, at the crux of it, even though we've got our own individual journeys. And when we can feel into that interconnected web that binds us all, then it's my hope that a solution for these sorts of issues on the planet will be birthed. And it's my belief that it will be. So I'm just going to put that out there with that message. But to finish off on this fast and what it's done for me, there have been so many good things that have come from this, which just, you know, keeps leading me to trust in trusting myself and my guidance. And so that is the message. Whether the fasting resonates and you want to check it out, great, but it also isn't for everyone. So my message isn't about doing the fasting, it's about you tuning into your guidance and really just trusting that it will always lead you where you need to go, and especially trusting when it doesn't make sense, because there was a bit of hesitation around, doing this fast, 4 days without food, and how would I go? The doubt crept in, the fear. And even on day one, when I was hungry and I was thinking, oh my God, there's like 3 more days of this to go. But then I kept reminding myself, 4 days, how long have you lived? 4 days is nothing in the great scheme of things. I guess to realize that I could do this. And even though the fear was there, I did it anyway. Not only do I feel amazing and feel energized, my body is feeling good, and I could just feel it's healing itself. I could just feel it from the inside out. I don't know how, but I can feel it. And I know the science says it too. I've lost weight. My jeans, my little skinny jeans are, finally fitting me again. And, it actually also, it brought up a little bit of tension for Benny and I to the surface of some stuff that's been there. I've spoken about it in some previous videos. And that was really healing too. It allowed us to have a conversation that was needed to have. And it's very easy to just mask over things and eat and continue in your daily life and continue to do the things. And then you don't actually really ever get to the crux of an issue. We had a beautiful conversation, healing conversation around some issues we've been dealing with. I've talked about a little bit on the YouTube channel about how I've been wanting to lean into the abundance and how we've been needing the financial abundance, and I've been looking for work and nothing's been happening, and it's been a really sort of tricky, sticky time. And day 3 of my fast, and I get offered 2 jobs. Just out of nowhere, they fell onto my lap. And beautiful people as well that let me know about some work. I didn't even have to go and find it. There was nothing I had to do, which again just was further confirmation that because I followed my guidance, which had nothing to do with work and finding work and financial abundance, it was to do with 4-day fast. It was like my health and my body and, the next thing that I felt compelled to do. But that, I feel, put me in a really good flow, frequency, vibration, whatever you want to call it, but it put me in the state of being. There's so many words, and language doesn't do it justice, but it put me in the right flow to receive what I've been wanting to receive, but possibly wasn't in the right flow. Maybe needed this fast to purge some things. Let's just leave it at that. But it's been amazing. So I just wanted to share with you that my 4-day fast was amazing, and I can't believe I'm saying this. And it's day 4 now, so I still don't have any dinner tonight, and it's not even fazing me. I'm quite excited to just see the day out, to really get present and still with this. And then I know that tomorrow I am waking up and I get to have food. I mean, it's just reignited all of my appreciation for food again. And to have that gratitude, not only for my appetite, but the fact that I get to have food, like I said before, tomorrow's going to be a good day. I am so excited. I mean, we're starting with a broth. We might move on after a couple of hours to a juice or something, and we'll work our way up. But I'm excited for dinner tomorrow night, that's for sure. And I'm just so excited that once again, I listened to the guidance and I'm reaping the benefits. So if I can be here as any sort of inspiration to you to do the same in your own life today, let me be that, because that's why I'm here. It's incredible how it's often the simplest things that are the most remarkable things. And I never would have thought that just removing food for 4 days could have such a positive effect. So I'm going to send some of this positivity through to you in case you need it, or you just want to take a bit more. That's cool too. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. I hope you have a beautiful day, my friends. Thanks for being here.